Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Saturday night, and after a long and insane week of school, I thought it would be fun for us to do a video game review for the video game section of the YouTube channel. Review tonight, WrestleMania 2000 for the Nintendo 64. Now, one fun thing about this game is the deep creative player mode and costume edits. So much so that I sometimes feel a bit overwhelmed by the amount of options that this game's creative player has, causing me to, and this might just be my personal bias toward WCW over WWF, to basically prefer the more limited scope of WCW versus NWO's Revenge's costume edit mode, because that is a little bit less distracting from gameplay. However, I will say this game is quite possibly Aki and Asmic's most complete wrestling game in terms of being a great balance of gameplay, character roster, controls, and aesthetic beauty. This game very much it's from a very kind of grim and gritty period in professional wrestling, but it never feels muddy. Lots of crisp, solid colors, and as we can clearly see here, we can have a lot of fun with changing up character appearances here. So if you've watched WWF at this time, you know this is the period when Stone Cold Steve Austin was the main character. I am not a huge Steve Austin fan, so I basically turned Steve Austin into the Ringmaster, which was his first WWF persona. So I thought that would just be fun. And we basically see this is the point in time at which WWF's writing did become quite interesting. I never felt, even at its peak, that WWF's writing was ever as good as WCW's writing at its peak. And I always preferred WCW as a brand to WWF. That said, at this point, interesting things were definitely happening. WWF was quite fun to watch, and the plot development of what had began in late 1997 was rolling and becoming more and more interesting. And this was the point in time at which WCW was starting to have a lot of internal problems and stall creatively, allowing WWF, which really plugged away with some interesting and creative writing, and also stealing of styles from WCW, NWO, and ECW to really reclaim its spot at the top of the professional wrestling world. And the cool thing about this game as well is you can customize divisions, factions, really unlike any other wrestling game up to this point. We have Andre the Giant, Stone Cold, and some regular WWF here, Dude Love, Mankind, Ken Shamrock, Kane, and the Ringmaster, Steve Austin. We have the Ministry of Darkness, and we've got the Undertaker, Gangrel, Edge, Christian, Bradshaw, Farouk, the Third Man, and Dave Meltzer's NWO, Mabel. We have the girls. This was at a point in time when wrestling was hypersexualized. We see Deborah right here, Deborah McMichaels, who is she was great in WCW and WWF. And we have the Corporation right here. Jim Ross, always in love with Steve Austin. And now we have the NWO, where we have Bret Hart, Six Pac, NWO Sting, the Giant, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan. So for the purposes of this review, well, we have DX here too. For the purposes of this review, I want to show you a creative player, which can tell you just how much your creative player can actually resemble a WCW wrestler, because Aki Asmic had WCW wrestlers' moves in their development kit because of all the WCW games that they made. And even down to another great thing about this game is, I'm not sure if you can hear this or not, but we literally have Hulk Hogan's 80s theme available, because at that point, Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe were using it, which really got a lot of people excited because they thought Hogan might have come back. But unfortunately, that would have to wait for a little bit until 2002. But yeah, this looks like just like a authentic Hulk Hogan that has just come right out, except for the fact that he's got a full head of hair. But if you played WCW versus the World, the Hulk Hogan in that game, which was an authentic WCW game, had a full head of hair. So here comes the Ringmaster right here, as Jeff Jarrett, the NWA champion, remarks, Steve Austin will always be the Ringmaster. So I really much preferred Hollywood Hogan and Sting to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I thought Stone Cold Steve Austin relied too much on shock value for his character. He just liked to complain a lot, and basically entitled and angry. And I thought that Hulk Hogan and Sting's characters in WCW had much richer psychology, right? Hulk Hogan was betrayed by fans who did not like his persona. Things were moving toward a more bad guy preference direction. So Hulk Hogan, after people turned on him, he basically gave them exactly what he wanted, but did it in his own way while punishing them, and built his nightmare New World Order. And Sting, who was Hulk Hogan's sidekick and friend, betrayed by his friend and mentor, and also betrayed by the company that he gave everything to, became the Dark Avenger, punishing those who turned on him while ultimately understanding the mistakes of WCW and ultimately helping them out. I mean, it was masterful storytelling. And I mean, like, the WWF had definitely good storytelling with Steve Austin and McMahon ultimately having to try to form an alliance to rescue Stephanie from the Undertaker, and that kind of stuff was interesting for sure. But I mean, I just always thought that WWF was just a very good, well-promoted version of NWO style storytelling with worse wrestlers, and it's true. I mean, I would argue that, because when the NWO wrestlers came back to WWF, they all went over on Steve Austin and The Rock instantly. Steve Austin and The Rock are very talented guys, but compared to Hulk Hogan or even a Nash or a Scott Hall, they're not as good. I mean, these were the guys that were underneath them when those guys left to go to WCW, and there's a reason. Now, it's not to say that Steve Austin and The Rock didn't ultimately develop into huge stars in their own right that rival anyone, but I don't think they're as good as the NWO, and I think fan reaction and in-ring work will ultimately prove my point. But enough of me rambling on here. This game controls really identically to WCW versus NWO Revenge. I now do my special move from WCW versus the World, which I've programmed Hulk Hogan to have. And so Ringmaster is in all kinds of trouble here. And we've got some Japanese Hulk Hogan going here with the arm drag whip right there. Right there. It's looking like he did when he fought Great Muta. Axe Bomber. Ooh, no, he missed. No, but the Axe Bomber gets him right there. Let's see if this works. 1, 2, 3. Ichiban! And sure to say, WWF Wrestlemania 2000 is a great wrestling game that you should get. Until next time, guys, my name is Noel. You take care, and I'll see you all later for life. Bye-bye.